So in my quest for new memories and to expand time and eke out maximum value from the things that I do, it led me to think about the way in which I've used time until this point, which is with a combination of rose-tinted nostalgia, but also regret. And I think this is a fairly common part of the human experience. We look back on the things that we've done through the lens of cognitive dissonance. We try and justify our actions and make sense of the things that we've done, knowing more now than we did back then. And I'm at a critical age right now, 31, which seems to me to be a very pivotal point in my life, because it's when friends are starting to make decisions that are going to affect their lives indefinitely going forwards. Some people are settling down and having kids, some people are taking out mortgages, rising up the ranks of promotion through their chosen field of career, and others are doing the complete opposite. They're throwing caution to the wind, they're quitting the job that they've hated for so long, leaving that partner who they know they're not going to spend the rest of their lives with, and maybe even moving to new cities and countries entirely. And 31 was the age that my dad had me, so it seems to me to be a very important milestone, and one that I've been wary of for a little while. And it got me thinking about how I've used time until this point and how I'm going to use time going forwards. Because the regrets that many people have are often things that affect their thinking going forwards. And I don't think this should be the case. I think that regrets should be something that we are aware of, but which we distance ourselves from when making new decisions in our life, rather than being inhibited by fear of failure or the possibility that things won't work out. We should use them as ammunition to do things differently and reconsider the possible alternatives of who we can become. So I want to share with you today 3 quotes that I think help us to better navigate the experience of regret and think about using our time going forward in a new way. And the first one is a quote by a guy called Steven Johnson, and he wrote a paper called The Adjacent Possible, in which he says the adjacent possible is a kind of shadow future, hovering over the present at the edge, a map of all the ways in which the present moment can reinvent itself. And when the future is so pregnant with possibilities, it can be a little bit inhibiting. We can feel paralyzed because there are just too many choices in front of us. And this is definitely a modern phenomenon, and it's definitely a first world problem. But it's a problem nonetheless. And when we know all the things that we could do or could be, that can stunt the reality of who we're going to become. It can lead us to inaction, or worse still, to fall to the level of the lowest common denominator. Another quote that helps me to understand this element of regret in our lives is that of a science fiction writer called William Gibson. And he wrote that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed yet. Now, he meant this, of course, in relation to his own work in terms of science fiction, technological development, and artificial intelligence. But I think it relates on a human level as well. Because regret is often the belief that the decisions that we've made have reached their point of culmination and cannot be rectified. We've arrived at a cul-de-sac and we can't find our way out. And yet when you consider that the future is here but it's not evenly distributed in relation to the choices that we make in our own lives, you start to realize that perhaps you're not at the end of your decision, but that it's just not manifested itself completely yet. And that gives you hope. It gives you optimism that the choices that you've made might yet lead somewhere positive. And the third quote I want to share with you today is from a writer called Douglas Murray. And he tells us that regret is an inevitable part of life. You are going to have regrets. But the question is, which of those regrets are you able to bear? And which ones do you think that you won't be able to bear? And I believe that we have a moral responsibility to our future selves, not to fall prey to the negativity bias that creates those whirlpools of rumination that bear regret. But instead, we shouldn't hold our decisions so close to heart, and instead investigate these decisions, having taken them, and ask ourselves where they might yet lead us.